What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the next episode of the Legacy Liftoff podcast by Drone Adair. I'm your host, Cody Retlick, and today with me is John Bach. John, thanks so much for joining me, man.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here, Cody.
Yeah, man. John, man, I've been following your stuff for quite some time. I know we connected probably like 4 years ago, I think, for the first time when we were working on some Ryder Cup stuff together. But I feel like we always stay in touch, whether it's just like boosting each other up on social or sharing something or just throwing stuff out there. So I'm super excited to share your story of kind of how you got where you're at today and how you got into the drone industry, because you're doing some pretty badass stuff with some FPV stuff, drones, as well as your content in general. So always love to start at the beginning of where you kind of got your love for you, video content. I know you went to Michigan State before video and whatnot, but can you kind of just give us that origin story of like, were you shooting stuff as a young age, or were you always had a camera in your, or where did you get your love for video?
Yeah, happy to start with the origin story. I mean, I've always loved cameras since I was a kid. I was in middle school when I made my first video and got paid my first $100 for something. And you're in middle school, eighth grade, you think you're rich as ever when you make $100, right, on a video piece of content. So it was actually a piece of content I shot for the Special Olympics of Illinois, which is an awesome organization. They do fantastic work. So I did a video recap of all the students participating in that event. Went down to Naperville to film them, and then that was the first time I did it. And I shot it on my dad's like Costco camcorder, right? Like had on my old tripod running around, doing pretty much anything I could to make it cool and learn on YouTube. So that was like the first video I ever created. It was seventh grade and fell in love with it from there. So take it on to high school. And in high school, I was filming anything I could get my hands on. So obviously, I'm a total sports junkie. Like I was the kid in elementary school who would wake up early and go watch the hour-long ESPN, make sure I saw the top 10, then get on the bus, go to school. And my mom thought I was crazy for waking up an hour before I had to as a young kid watching Sports Center. She's like, "Why are you getting up early? You know, you don't have to get up another hour for school." I was like, "Got to watch Sports Center, got to see the top 10, then jump on the bus." So in high school, I filmed all the sports. I mean, girls soccer, guys basketball, guys football, lacrosse, hockey, swimming, diving, like any event that I wasn't playing my sport, I was filming my friends playing sports. So that's kind of where it all began, and led to Michigan State, of course. And Michigan State, I filmed for the football team for 4 years up there. Some of the most like pivotal years of my career, right when social media was really getting hot and picking up. You know, Instagram was just new. Of course, there wasn't all the NIL stuff back then, but it was like coaches were starting their Twitter accounts and their Instagram accounts. Players were starting their own like personal Twitter accounts, and all this whole like personal branding shift was really taking place.
Mhm.
So that's kind of when it was like, hey, these creative departments, like they weren't built out like they are now. It was like, hey, like you know how to make cool videos, like make one for the coach, make one for the running back, make one for the quarterback. And you're like, all right, sure. So we were making it up as we went, but um, as a student, it allowed me to have a lot of freedom and have a lot of innovation and trust from, the university hiring me to do those things. So that's kind of where it went before I graduated and went the corporate route. But yeah, I've
Right.
always loved having a camera in my hand. I've always loved, the drone stuff, and led me to where we are today.
That's awesome. I kind of want to take a jump back to the beginning part, because I think it's really awesome to, one, for anybody that's younger that's listening. It's just like being able to just shoot, or your love of sports. So you understood that's like, hey, I just want to shoot sports. And I'm curious, like, was that something at your high school, or like was that like you were a part of a video class and you just like started picking it up, or was it just you just went to the athletic department and was like, hey, I just want to be there or shoot it? Did you just do it on your own? Were you just like there at all of them?
Yeah, it's a great question. I was super fortunate to have a video teacher in high school, Jeff Doles, Dr. Doles is what we call him. He had a video class that I was in pretty much as much as the student counselors would allow me to be in. I took it for every elective I possibly could. And he was the one who really kind of guided us through that. And he had so many connections. He was very, very, for the students. Hey, we want you to learn this. We want you to get in front of these sports teams. So anytime we had an ask or a crazy idea, we're like, hey, Dr. Doles, do you think we could do this? He's like, let me see if I can make it happen for you guys.
Sweet.
So we were blessed with like a really awesome video club, video class in high school. And there were some really kind of like our era there. There were some like really, really talented video guys that came out of it who the majority of them are still doing video to this day. Of course, my business partner, Zach Dula, he was in that class like a year older than me. And I was like, oh, I want to make videos and be like Zach. And then there were guys ahead of Zach that he was like, oh, I want to make videos like Rob and Dylan and all these other guys. So there was kind of this like sweet pocket of 4 or 5 years where we were just cranking out these awesome videos that I think were like way ahead of our time. And it was like just us getting creative and asking our teacher to make crazy ideas happen. And he was a big advocate for us and helped us learn a lot along the way. So
That's awesome.
kind
And
of
you
fell
got
into
it.
the right spot at the right time there.
Hey, and that's what it's about. I think finding mentorship, but then
Mhm.
also like knowing that this is something that you love to do and that you're like, hey, I enjoy this, and you're kind of at an early age pushing those boundaries of asking them to do more or being at all the sporting events. And you already actually kind of prefaced one of my other questions that I was like, where you and Zach met, but now I know that you guys were in the same class together, which I actually didn't even know. But that's super cool to hear that you guys kind of one kept in touch throughout because he didn't go to Michigan State, right? Did you guys like how did that come about? Because you guys started Doula Creative first, correct? Out of Michigan State, or how can you tell us how that kind of all transitioned? Because once you were out of Michigan State, you guys created the Doula Creative first, or what was the origin behind that?
Zach's someone I knew since high school. It was kind of a crazy situation where like he was on the football team. I was filming the football team. I still have this awesome photo I got of him like in the playoffs, like catching like a corner touchdown, which we always laugh about now to this day. Like I gave it to him back in high school or college when we started the business. But yeah, Zach went to University of Illinois. I went to Michigan State. He did the same thing I did at University of Illinois. So he was like in the video program at U of I. I was in the video program at Michigan State. Then we both graduated and went into more of like a corporate sales role. So he was selling radio advertising. I was selling TV advertising. Both were selling digital ad packages within those lanes. And about a year and a half, 2 years into that, we both were like, man, we like miss this creative side. We know there's a better way to do this advertising game, and started Doula Creative Shop, which was a social media based agency. Had that creative component where we'll create your content, we'll run Facebook digital ads with it, Instagram ads, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, all the above. And then started that. And that's kind of led us into indoor drone tours and athletic content house today. So yeah, been rocking for 6, 7 years now. Got to make sure I get that right there. And it's been awesome. So built a couple companies together and having a blast just making creative content still.
That's what it's all about. And I think also finding a good partner in any business is key, right? And knowing that like you guys were on the same page, you kind of brought it back full circle to realizing like, hey, there's a better way that we could spend our time and our careers, and knowing that you kind of followed your passion. I think that's something I'm always speaking about is like no matter what you're in, no matter what kind of career you're doing or whatever, there's no better time than now to just start. And like, even if you're doing it on the side to start, or you're actually going to try to make that leap and do something you love full time, I think is a very, very amazing thing to do. And once you do it, as you can attest to, entrepreneurship isn't easy at times,
Yeah.
but it's the most rewarding feeling I think out there once you can kind of get behind that, and that's awesome that you kind of saw that early on. But so you mentioned a couple of the other companies that you guys now have went on and transitioned or started to talk about indoor drone tours because that's kind of I think you guys were really in the beginning stages of doing FPV tours, right, for real estate and events and other things that really was a new perspective. A lot of times now people, they know it, they see it. It's been around for a while now that it's the cool fast drone that people is like,
Yep.
if they don't know what it looks like, it's just like, oh yeah, the one that whips around and like you're wearing goggles or whatever. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's dangerous. They don't know what it is other than that, but they know it when they see it. So what like if you when you guys are doing all these video projects, you're running ads, you're kind of all in that marketing agency space, right? Did you just see a video that you're like, hey, FPV tours are coming? Or how did you kind of realize that this is what you wanted to transition into?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of just kind of like a blessing in disguise. It was probably 6 months to a year prior to COVID. As a marketing agency, we're like, hey, like we always want to be forward with the content, the most cutting edge, cool stuff. Grab eyes, stop the scroll. I mean, it's the same thing you're trying to do on social media these days to this day. Like it's an attention game, right? You can grab someone's attention, like you're gonna win. It's clicks, views, monetization, all of that. So I saw FPV, I think maybe the first time was like Sam Coulter's travel videos, maybe back in the day. I was a big Casey Neistat guy, Sam Coulter, watched those videos at night, that would inspire you and show you new angles. I was like, oh, that's really cool. We should do that. I don't see a lot of people doing that yet because it was hard to figure out. People were still flying analog, building all the drones. There really weren't pre-builts out there, right? So like
No.
just FPV as a whole, like as you and I talk about all the time offline, is like it's come so far over the last 3 to 5 years where it's like yeah, you can almost buy one off the shelf now and connect it and off you go. So there was a high barrier to entry. And then secondly, I was like, not a lot of people are going to do this and take the time to figure it out. And this could be a differentiator for the marketing and video agency of Doula Creative Shop. So that's where the idea began. Then fast forward to like COVID hits and we're like, oh my gosh, like we're going to lose some clients. Some clients are going to explode. It's going to be really weird as a marketing agency. Like it's a very volatile business to be in. Because every industry was up or down
Yeah,
based on COVID. Like no one
for
knew.
sure.
So then, yeah, we got a call and we were talking about indoor drone tours a little bit. Like, hey, what can we do with these drones? Kind of started off as like Doula Aerials, like this aerial arm of Doula Creative Shop. And they're like, could you fly a home like while standing outside of it because of COVID? And we're like, I guess so. I guess we can
Maybe.
try that.
Yeah, let's try it out.
So we did that and started flying residential homes, and we probably flew 300 to 400 homes within the first like year that Doula Aerials indoor drone tour started because of COVID. I mean, people needed a way to do it. It made people feel safe, and immediately the feedback on the indoor drones was amazing. People were like, "Hey, like we haven't seen an angle like this. The tour stays connected. You spatially know where everything is. It takes you from room to room seamlessly, and you don't get lost." Like there's that cool creative video factor of like the cuts to the beat and the cool sexy videos, but at the same time there was this lost cause in real estate of like, hey, knowing where everything is within the house can be just as important or more important sometimes than like the cool factor.
Yeah.
And we saw that really especially with commercial real estate. These commercial real estate brokers, teams, they were dying for a product like this because you couldn't tour a 500,000 square foot office space or industrial space or multifamily, units like this without that indoor drone flying through it because you can cover so much ground so quickly. So that's when it really, really, kind of struck us like, hey, we've got something here. So, tripled down on the commercial real estate market, started building out the drones like crazy. We had all these little 2-inch analog drones we were flying at the start, keeping up as fast as we could with the business, finding people to fly. And, here we are 4 years later with indoor drone tours. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, I've followed the evolution. We've worked on some projects together. I mean, I think it is amazing, one, that just like how, I don't want to say rapidly, but how FPV has changed because
Totally.
it has been rapidly. I mean, like at the end of the day, the drone industry technology goes so fast, right? I
It's
mean, and
nuts.
keeping up with it. I mean, DJI just announced the O4 unit now, and like
Yeah,
the Avata 2 and everything as well. And I know most FPV pilots out there that are listening or will listen will say it's not a real FPV and whatever. But at
sure.
the end of the day, they're not making them for the FPV, the true, FPV pilot that's flying over people and all that. They're making it to get people into the craft, right? And knowing like how to control and how to ultimately get what you need out of it and stabilize footage and everything else, that because it's not just an out of the box type of flying. It is a very, very different set of skills that you need in order to fly an FPV drone. And as you know, right, it takes a little bit more practice than popping a Mavic up and just letting it hover. But what really impresses me is just obviously finding the different ways to use it, and knowing that one, commercial real estate's always been a prevalent industry for you, but you've done some really amazing sports stuff as well. We collaborated on the Ryder Cup together, and you've done Inter Miami with Messi, and talk about some of the non, I guess, related commercial real estate sectors that you guys are in, because you've worked on some pretty awesome projects throughout the years, and I think it's cool to just kind of highlight some of them.
Yeah, totally. I agree with everything you said. And I think, our first project where you kind of brought us in as the FPV extension of MAP to do those shots at the Ryder Cup was kind of sparked some of the ideas for us. Like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, I've always been a huge sports nerd. So that was an amazing opportunity. And that was like, wait, like there's a lot of functionality and new angles we can bring into the sports world with this. I remember we were sitting on like hole 12 together and we're like, oh, let's fly it like a golf ball,
Mm-hmm.
and like shoot it up like a golf ball would be, on an iron shot. So there were all these new, cool, creative angles we could bring. And yeah, as you mentioned, like Inter Miami with Messi, they wanted to cover his first game. So we flew pregame, we flew postgame, couldn't go over the fans, but could go around the pitch, show off a packed stadium, kind of orbit around Messi as he came out. At the end of the game, he's waving to the crowd. The drone orbits around him doing that. So it's just a very specialty case, camera angle that most creative departments won't have in house, which is where we can slide into a system with that dynamic footage. I think there's a lot of opportunity, and we filmed a lot of sports teams like ticket sales, suite packages, like the Charlotte Hornets. We flew and we did like they had this brand new restaurant suite level and like VIP suites that we like toured through, and then they could sell those to season ticket holders. So, like you mentioned, there were all these cool applications like creative or functional that these FPV drones could do that most other drones or regular cameras couldn't do. We did a Blackhawks media day fly through that was awesome. It started outside the practice arena, went inside, and then we put like name tags on all the guys as it flew by them to kind of like introduce the new guys to the team. We had like Kevin Korchinski, Connor Bedard, like all these new guys that were on the team is like show their name tags, show the photos, kind of make it this like intricate, cool piece. We've done a lot with the Chicago Bulls, from playoff stuff over the years to things with Benny the Bull, Clemson Athletics touring their new NIL facility, which was amazing. So yeah, like a lot of tour components, but also just a lot of fun sports components, and got some more fun golf stuff coming up here for PGA Championship, which would be cool. So I think Cam and I are headed down to Valhalla on Friday of this week to just do a quick day shoot for some stuff down there. So
Nice.
we'll see what the FPV drones can cook up down in Kentucky there.
Yeah, love it. I mean, hey, you know me, anything golf and drones related, if
Yeah,
I can do it, I'm down. Like it's such a, I mean, my two passions for sure coming together. So it's cool to see that you've been able to shoot a lot of these, one, amazing sports facilities and arenas and events as well. And that's I would love to then transition, because I know this is drone related, and obviously we have drones already that we've discussed, but like you're also just a badass videographer, dude. Like your sports
appreciate
content, you shoot on field for the Bears, right? You do a ton of stuff throughout a lot of different industry or different areas, NCAA, PGA, and I'm sure I'm forgetting stuff. You've done NHL obviously as
that.
well, but like you created Athletic Content House, right? Like here recently, so that's obviously just another extension here, right? Like you're creating another piece of the arm of what you guys have for a lot of the ground video stuff, right? All related to sports. Are you kind of working with athletes now and teams, or what was the start and the goal behind Athletic Content House? Besides
Yeah,
sharing all of the content that you already have, that is really sick.
yeah. Appreciate you asking. Like I said, I always love sports. So Athletic Content House was pretty much born from just all those different sports moments and realizing, hey, like myself and the team, we have a great eye for capturing those viral moments and those big type events, arenas, sidelines at the stadiums and things where it's like, hey, like we know what works on social media and we know the sports world like the back of our hand. So trust us and give us access to these events, and we're going to blow it out of the water in terms of views and content that the fans are dying for out there. So as you mentioned, like we've worked with the MLB Players Association a bunch. We've worked with Wilson Golf, of course, at the league level with NFL, PGA, NHL, all these other different sports, but it was really just born out of the passion that Zach and I have for the sports industry and our passion for the creative content. So um, that's kind of how it started, and now it's been off in its first year, and it's been a ton of fun so far. So we've got a lot of events booked for us this summer: PGA Championship, others with MLB, the All Star Game, and we'll see what else comes into our lap there. So, and then in turn with that, we kind of use, like you said, indoor drone tours as the arm and the extension to do all the aerial footage. So it's fun to be able to have both companies in the mix on these big events and these big opportunities. And I don't know, it's like I think I was with Cam. I was with Cam at the Wilson golf shoot, and he was like, the sun was setting. We had like rainstorms all throughout the day. We're like covering the drones. We have the cinema drone with like a free fly ember on it, and I'm like, all right, we got like 20 minutes of good light left. Like, we got to get these shots now. We're out of time essentially on the shoot day. Cam loads it up, starts whipping the free fly ember around the golfers. We're shooting this like iron video for Wilson Golf. And we're like driving to the car. We're all amped up because we got the shot, just like cheering back and forth, which like as a creator, like that's the best thing. You get that money shot. You're like, yes, like I know that's it. And Cam turns to me. He's like, I love the pressure filled moments. Like, give me the highest stakes, the highest pressure. Like, I'm going to execute and get the money shot. And I'm like, that's exactly what we want to do at Indoor Drone Tours and Athletic Content House. Be trusted to capture the biggest moments, the biggest arenas, and at the biggest events, and execute them to 100%, right? Like, we're not missing. We're going to get that shot. And yeah, I mean, Cam's shot of that Wilson golf thing turned out amazing. He's flying in the goggles. He's sitting there. He's like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I know it's money. So yeah, I think it's that adrenaline we chase as creators, and especially in sports. Like, sports is made because of like the drama and the anticipation and the excitement for those potential moments, whether they happen in a win or a loss or all these things. There's content to be created around it.
Yeah. And I think that's what you guys do too, is like bringing the creative side back. Like, you started as a creative marketing agency, but like now that you've transitioned to the drones, the FPV tours, the athletic content stuff, I mean, you've done some really, really sweet stuff of like that I've never seen done before, like the autograph cam at the All-Star game. Like that's just badass. Like, that's just a cool perspective that, I don't know if I've ever seen it done before. Like, how did that like idea come about? Or did like just like, yeah, I'm just gonna buy, did you buy like individual glass for
Yeah,
every single one of them and then just change it out?
yeah. I had seen it done. Like, I mean, I'd seen it done on TV and like, tennis broadcasts, like, in the early days, or like even probably like NBA finals or something like that. I don't really remember how it was, but yeah, this was like whatever, July of last year or something. I feel like it's a really big trend now, but people had done it, prior, and I was like, oh, this would be cool because like the MLB Players Association, it's all about the players, right, and the personality of the players and the player relationships. So I was like, that'd be a cool way to like kind of put their own twist on it. Like, they look into the camera, they give a little flair, and then they sign it. So yeah, it's like a lens filter. It's a big glass pane that goes on the end of a wide angle lens, and then you can change them out. Usually use like a dry erase marker or a paint marker, and then sometimes for the big moments, we'll use a Sharpie and save it as a memento for the office. Or in the past, like MLBPA has been like, hey, we'll get it signed, like raffle it or like give it away or something for like charitable causes. So you kind of get a two-part of like the marketing and creativity then, because you can be like, hey, we have a signed camera glass thing that we're giving away from the home run derby or whatever it is. But yeah, just kind of during the brainstorm process, I think we were just, hey, like this would be a really cool concept to execute.
Super cool. Yeah, I mean, it's a different perspective. I mean, just cool way to show off the players and everything as well. And yeah, I thought it was really awesome when I saw it for the first time, and I'm like, wow, it's just a unique
Yeah,
way to show it off. But
appreciate that.
yeah, man. What's I know it's tough to like put it into probably perspective now throughout the years, but like I would say from me, like just being that golf perspective, like Ryder Cup was one of my favorite moments. I was there for a month, I was doing a ton of stuff obviously through that time and had you there. But like, could you what's like what's your favorite moment you've had like over, and I don't want to, don't hurt any feelings out there either, because I know there's a lot of people that you've shot for in places and stuff, but like give me like a top three. Like what like top three like moments for you in your career so far of like shooting content?
Yeah, it's interesting too because it kind of like you said, like leans into your sport and passion. Like you're a huge golfer, so the golf stuff like means a lot to you. And from sports I like I've always been a big like basketball and football guy. Recently, I've been really big into golf, which I maybe have you to thank for from that Ryder Cup shoot. I feel like since then I've been like bitten by the golf bug. Um, but yeah,
As
I'd
have
say
everybody else lately. I feel like golf's just blown up in the last 5 years.
it's
Since COVID, honestly, people are just like, hey, it was the best sport to play. And yeah,
honestly
yeah,
true. I was like,
yeah,
I've like actually played like only the last like 3 years maybe. I was like, other than the one random time at a friend's bachelor party or something, like, okay, I have my own set of sticks down, like I'm playing consistently enough to be like, I golf, you know?
yeah.
But yeah, top couple moments. So I'd say, yeah, like top moments I've filmed or shot, or the companies have been lucky enough to be a part of and been trusted to capture. Like running out of the tunnel with Justin Fields in the Bears throwback jerseys, like that one was awesome. I had like a bunch of friends and like family like text me videos of me like running behind him. There's fireworks going off in the background of the shot, like, and it's just like you and Justin running, like taking the field. I'm like, never would I have dreamed of that when I was back in high school, like filming the football team that Zach was on, right? So that's up there. Ryder Cup in Rome, like first big international trip, international shoot. We did the autograph camera there with Scotty, and so like I was executing it with Scotty. Scotty's also like the nicest guy in the world to film. He's like, "Do you need me to do it again? Did you get everything you needed?" So just like having those player relationships is super cool. So yeah, the Scotty moments in Rome, and then probably Inter Miami with Messi. Like that was a huge sports shoot for us. It was an international event, right? Like soccer is the biggest sport in the world, So like capturing that goal, like I was filming it and I'm like, there's no way he's gonna make this, right? Like this is way too storybook. And you're just like in the middle of that moment in history and have captured it. So if I had to say three, I would say like the Justin Fields run out shot, shooting the Ryder Cup in Rome with Scotty Scheffler, and then, Messi in Miami would be the kind of the
Nice.
three that come to mind right away.
Hey, three awesome picks for sure. I personally, I had two out of three right. In my head when I was preparing myself for this question, I'm like, I know he's gonna pick the Justin Fields one, and I'm pretty positive that he's gonna pick the Messi shot because that was just. I mean, you could shoot for years and not get a shot like that, and a moment like that where it's like such a prevalent just time where he comes over and his first game, first win, crazy sick goal, like it's just insane angle too. So um had two out of the three, so that's good.
Yeah. When he started,
That-
like when he scored the goal, I'm like, he could have turned anyway, right? He could have gone left. His
yeah.
family was left. He could have gone right. Like he comes like right towards my corner. I'm like shaking while I'm filming. I'm like, no, no chance this is actually happening right now.
Yeah. Well, and that's the beauty of like, and I'm not behind a camera like you are, but like I'm looking at sticks or I'm
Yeah.
looking at a monitor without someone else or whatever. But it's like when those moments happen, like you have to like also take a time to just stop and breathe for a little bit and like understand like, hey, this is awesome. Like
Yeah.
you got to be grateful and feel blessed to be a part of it because it's awesome. It's just cool to be there and be in it, and you can take it for granted sometimes, but it's also just really fun to look back at it and think about it in
Oh,
that
there'll
way.
be, I mean, like all from even shooting Ryder Cup together, you and I, to like course of you filmed like in Hawaii and all these places around the country. It's like those are stories we're gonna like be sitting with as we get older, being like, oh, that one time I filmed this course or this athlete or this event, this player. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy. So yeah, you gotta sit back and smell the roses, as people would say. But taking it one day at a time, just like being grateful for each opportunity that comes your way. And I don't know. I always say like you step on site, or you step on site to fly the drone or use the camera. It's like you got to be all in on that moment, like I'm focused and ready to go. Because like you never know what's gonna happen. In the
Yeah.
arena.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it kind of brings me to another question that I've always had because I've seen some of your behind the scenes of when you're on shooting and stuff, but like people think that this just happens, right? Like you just show up, obviously you shoot, like it just gets there, or you just edit it or whatever. But a lot of these events, like you're editing on the go, right? Like you're in timeouts or you're at a in between quarters or at halftime. Can you give a little bit more behind the scenes look of like, say you're at a Bears game or you're at the NCAA tournament like you were, you get a shot, you're like, are you then exporting it into your phone and you have presets or your laptop, or and then you're kind of like putting stuff on it quick and then sending it off to a team? Like, what does that kind of look like from behind the scenes of like, all right, I got a shot, here's a break, and this is what they expect out of me, because it's not just a shoot and upload the footage after we're done type of scenario, right? A lot of this stuff is on the go, have stuff prepared, ready to rock, and get it sent off.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think it's like super important. Obviously, in sports, like speed is everything because it's all live broadcast. As soon as it happens, everyone has seen it. So if you have that other angle or unique perspective, like you got to get it to social media like that. So a couple ways that go about it is a lot of like SD card or like card to iPhone. Drop it right there, take it out, put a new card in, so you're not going to miss any shots. I do edit a lot on my computer because I like to do like highlights or mixes while I'm like in the game or at the event. So for March Madness, like I'll edit highlights during the under 16 timeout, the under 12, the under 8, and so on and so forth. NFL, of course, like halftime or TV timeouts are big to do them. But I think a lot of the, why I'm really quick with it is just being really organized while you're shooting. So I'll take blank clips in between some of the best stuff, or I'll shoot the scoreboard. Like, hey, if it's Bears Packers and it's a sick Bears play, I'll shoot the Bears logo on the scoreboard. If it's a sick Packers play, I'll shoot the Packers logo. And then when I'm sorting through, I know right where they are. So having like an organization system and kind of a file system in your head helps with the live content turnaround. And then, of course, after the footage is out there and turning it around, like it'll go to a distribution team that'll post it and share it. That's usually someone from the league, whether it's, the PGA or the NHL or one of our clients. But then we'll label everything afterwards, with player name, icons and things like that. So you can go back and like source it from your library. Yeah, speed is everything. And I think it comes down to like how you shoot and having a good organizational system for yourself. And it's like anything you do in life. It's like the more you practice it and the more you do it, the quicker you're going to get at it and the better you're going to get. So I've been lucky enough to be doing it for a while, but I've got pretty good system and flow now where I can spit content out pretty quickly. So I'm always thinking of like, how can we do it faster? How can we get better internet speeds and turn these files around at the highest quality even quicker? So yeah.
It's what you got to do. I mean, and that's the thing is like when you've put in a process in place, and I know just talking to Zach over the years, your business partner, he's like a systems guy, right? Too, like obviously in the back end and that type of stuff and automations and things and whatnot, like that's key. But like when you're on site, it is being able to know what's happening, when it's happening, and those little things like shooting a scoreboard or shooting the ground or shooting the sky or whatever your files is a good little tip and trick there for speed and getting things out as quick as you can and being on top of it, because that's what they want, right? They want to post those things as fast as possible
Yeah.
to put it out there. So, well, John, what's on the horizon, man? Like I know you kind of put a little bit of some teasers out there to some events this year. Athletic Content House is in its first year, right? Like full first year.
Yeah.
So like as you kind of push forward and push the boundaries, with both indoor drone tours and athletic content house, what's the goal? What's on the horizon, man?
Yeah. I think like top high level is like just want to work with good people who are passionate about making super creative video content at a really high level and giving our customers like an awesome experience. I'm a huge customer experience guy. But in terms of events and what we've got coming up, like PGA Championship, we'll be at men's and women's with a team down there for Athletic Content House doing some stuff. Major League Baseball will be at the All-Star Game, shooting for the Players Association with a couple of us. And then Drone Tours has a lot on the horizon. There's tons of real estate deals in the flow right now. Some stuff coming up with Inter Miami, some stuff coming up with the Colorado Rapids. So mix of the sports and the real estate stuff, but shooting some of the coolest like hotels, office buildings, apartment buildings around the country. There's a couple really cool resorts in California we're filming this spring, summer in terms of the drone tour stuff that I'm really excited about to share, kind of more lifestyle videos, more creative. But yeah, I mean, I think kind of on a long-winded thought here, but the the beauty and why I love the creative process too is just like every day is different. Like I love golf, I love hockey, I love football, and then the next day you're shooting in a beautiful hotel in the desert or this or that. So the variety is what keeps my brain going, outside of all the business stuff that comes with it. But it's like that problem solving skills and something different every day is kind of like the beauty of running a creative video business for a living.
No doubt. And that's the thing too. It's like there is so many beautiful buildings and architecture and like places. You guys shot on a cruise ship a while back, right? Like it really is just like a awesome way to just see many amazing places too and just show them off because the world is massive. And there's so
Crazy.
many spots that people just don't know about. And yeah, it's
Yeah. I
I'll be looking forward to seeing all what's on the horizon for these next
appreciate that.
however long it is.
Yeah, we'll keep these drone businesses going as long as we can and keep making cool content. So,
Yeah, man, I love it. Well, yeah, where can anybody like reach out to you? I know you're pretty prevalent on all social media platforms, but like, you know, can I reach out to you on Instagram?
yeah.
You want to drop we can obviously put all of your links in the show notes, but like how can people reach out to you and like, what can they reach out to you for?
Yeah, anything and everything. I'm an open book. Love, like we talked about at the beginning of the episode, like mentorship and helping people. I mean, that's how I came up in the creative industry, was like guys helping me out and coffee conversations and hanging out, listening, learning, and working hard with guys that were above me and helping me out along the way. So Instagram, it's John Parkerbach, all one word. Pretty much all socials for myself personally. Company accounts, Indoor Drone Tours, all one word, and Athletic Content House, all one word. So shoot us DMs there, and I am in all those chats, so I will find them one way or another. But yeah,
Love it, man. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you being on today. It was great hearing more about your story and your transition into the drone industry and everything else that you're doing, making a legacy for your own. So, again, man, thanks for being here, and I'm sure we'll catch up soon.
absolutely, man. Really appreciate you guys having me on. It's an awesome podcast and honored to be a guest here.
Absolutely. Thanks for being on. And if anybody else likes what we're doing, please comment, share, like. Helps us out a lot, pushing it out and just sharing cool people's stories, doing cool stuff in the industry. And if you know anybody that could be a good guest on the podcast, please feel free to shoot us an email or a DM on any platform. We'll get some awesome people like John lined up. And everybody, stay safe out there and happy flying.